Bernie Sanders, one of the 2016 presidential election Democratic candidates. But can he actually win? Where does he stand on all the issues? The answers to these questions and more will be found in this video. Top 10 facts about Bernie Sanders. Number 10, he believes in climate change.
In the previous debate, you said the greatest threat to national security was climate change. Do you still believe that?
Absolutely. In fact, climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
It's true. Bernie Sanders has always been a believer of climate change. And Bernie is also in favor of stopping it. He wants to reclaim our democracy from the billionaire fossil fuel lobby, accelerate a just transition away from fossil fuels, and invest in clean and sustainable energy. In addition, he hopes to revolutionize our electric and transportation infrastructure and lead the international community to solve climate change and prevent international conflict. In the process, Bernie hopes to cut carbon pollution by 40% by the year 2030.
Climate change is real. Climate change is caused by human activity. And climate change is already causing devastating problems throughout our country and, in fact, throughout the world.
And instead of spreading paranoia about other countries, Sanders actually acknowledges that climate change is real. Number 9, Bernie wants to raise the minimum wage to at least $15. One of Bernie's key points for this argument is that people are working longer hours for lower wages. Mr. Sanders also points out that women who do the same job as men should earn the same thing. So he wants a national $15 per hour minimum wage. And he's currently leading the effort to increase the minimum wage for federal contract workers to $10.10 per hour.
Working people cannot survive on the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, or $8 an hour, or $9 an hour. If people work 40 hours a week, they deserve to not live in dire poverty.
If you think more than doubling the minimum wage is a bad idea, take a look at how it worked out in Seattle, and then make up your mind. Number 8, Bernie Sanders supports universal health care. Sanders says that free health care should be a right, not a privilege. Because he says over and over and over again that the United States is the only major nation in the industrialized world that does not guarantee health care as a right to its people. Everyone in our country should be able to access the health care they need regardless of their income. We undeniably need a system that works not just for the millionaires and billionaires and upper 1%, but for everyone. Sanders also supports the healthcare model of Scandinavia.
They provide health care to all of their people without out-of-pocket expense at 50% of what we are spending.
And according to Bernie, we need a system that prioritizes the health of working class families over the profits of insurance companies.
Over 18,000 Americans die every single year because they don't have access to a doctor when they need that access. That's wrong.
Number 7, Bernie Sanders fights for LGBT equality.
Because I'm transgender. I looked it up. That means I can use the girl shitter.
Much like Bernie's Republican friends, although you may want to point to Leviticus, you can't claim to support equality, like most people hope they do, and not support equal rights. According to Mr. Sanders, people have a right to love each other regardless of one's sexual orientation. Bernie voted against the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, and here's why.
The Republicans came into Congress. Many of them, I'm sorry to have to say, were homophobic. They saw it as a good political issue. And what they were trying to do is make it impossible for gay couples to be married, to get benefits from the federal government, to have marriage in one state be accepted and recognized in another state. I think everybody at the time knew this was simply homophobic legislation.
When in office, Bernie will veto any legislation that purports to protect religious liberty at the expense of others' rights. Number 6, he's a socialist.
So I think when people understand that in those countries, governments are working for the middle class rather than the billionaire class, I think we can get our message across.
Along with protecting the country in and of itself, Bernie also supports protecting the middle and lower classes. The billionaires of America are on a war path. They want more and more and more. And our nation cannot survive morally or economically when so few have so much while so many have so little.
Do you give one whit of concern to the middle class and working families of this country? That's my question.
In essence, Bernie is very heavily focused on taxing people based on their income. And if you think that nobody's a socialist and that that's a bad idea, well, a recent poll found that more Americans consider themselves socialist than capitalist. Also, America celebrates a Jewish socialist every December 25th. Number 5, Bernie's stance on foreign policy. Sanders believes that the greatest test of a country's strength is not how many wars it can fight in and survive, but how many conflicts it can end.
The issue of foreign policy, how we bring the world together, our allies together, not do it alone, to take on ISIS, to deal with the other threats and problems around the world.
Senator Sanders, you brought up the Iraq War.
We should move away from policies that favor unilateral military action and preemptive war, the ones that make the U.S. the de facto policeman of the world. Number 4, war and peace. Sanders, like most Democrats and socialists, believes that we should heavily cut and reduce military spending. While there is no question that our military must have the resources it needs to combat terrorism, Sanders says that it's imperative we take a look at the Pentagon budget. And if we're going to fight in any war at all, it's today's wars that we should be fighting in, not yesterday's wars, much less the Cold War. Because right now, our military budget is so high that it could cause another war very soon.
It has been counterproductive when we kill innocent people, including Americans. If you think about it for a moment, you understand that what terrorism is about is trying to instill terror and fear into the hearts of people. And we will not let that happen.
Number 3, privacy.
We can't go around telling people we're a free country when either the government or the corporate world knows every damn thing about you. That's not really freedom.
Obviously, we must keep our country safe, but we can do that without undermining basic constitutional rights. We have to recognize that corporations collect huge amounts of data on us. In Bernie's view, the NSA is out of control and is operating in an unconstitutional manner. Sanders doesn't want kids growing up in a society where they think that they're not going to be able to talk about something or read about something because then someone might think they're a terrorist. That's not the kind of free society that anyone wants. Number 2, gun control. Sanders states that nobody should have a gun if they have a criminal background or if they were involved in domestic abuse situations. Sanders also points out that certain types of guns exclusively used and made to kill people, not for hunting, should not be sold in America. And Sanders comes from a state that has virtually no gun control, and it turns out to be one of the safest states in the country. He comes from a state where tens and tens of thousands of people hunt and do target practice. It makes you think about this issue. Number 1, can he win? Take a look at this poll. Currently, we see Hillary at 51.6% and Sanders at 37.2%. So let's compare this to the 2008 election. As you can see, things for the black-colored candidate already don't look too well. However, I can reveal to you that this hopeless candidate isn't Hillary Clinton, it's President Obama. And yeah, he won. So what does that tell us about the 2016 election? While at this point in 2008, Obama was pretty much flatlining, here in 2016, we see Bernie's numbers skyrocketing. In 2008, Hillary seemed like she had an insurmountable lead, whereas in the current year, 2016, Hillary's numbers only continue to plummet. Bernie continues to rise in the polls, while Hillary only continues to fall. And unlike Clinton supporters, Bernie's supporters are actually enthusiastic and believe in his vision for the future and America. So, if the Clinton campaign is not clinically insane, I'm sure they're asking themselves this question.